Hello there. In this video I'm going to go over some kind of guidelines I tend to usually follow when flying in War Thunder. I'm going to be using a replay with the FATC-10 Shooting Star. I've got an expert crew, or pilot. It's fully modified. And in this replay I did okay for kills, pretty well than my average. And I got a lot of kill assists. So let's get to this. Pretty much one of the main things that you always want to do is try to get altitude over your enemies. Because speed is life, altitude is life insurance. So if you have altitude and speed over your enemy, then you can pick and choose your engagements. Yeah, so for this aircraft, it's only got 6 50 cals. 50 cals are not too bad if you can set the enemy on fire. Beyond that, it just doesn't kill quick enough. If you want something that really kills, 20 and 30 millimeter cannons are very good at that. You can take out enemies usually in a quick burst if you're accurate. So right here I'm trying to make sure that the enemy don't land and take this airfield. That's my first kill. And that's something you gotta be careful about, especially is head-on passes. Get some shots in and then pull off. And try to avoid getting hit yourself if you can. Or at least as best you can. The other nice thing though with 50 cals that you have over cannons is a very fast reload time in arcade. Because this, for 50 cals, it's about a 10-second reload time, whereas for cannons, it'd probably be about 20 seconds or more, given how good my pilot is. Otherwise, if you don't have that good of a reload time for your pilot, it's about 40 seconds. So that's 40 seconds you're flying around doing nothing. And you always, especially in an aircraft that turns slowly, like for instance a jet like this, or like a German aircraft typically, or an American one, you'll want to have altitude and speed over your enemy so you can do boom and zoom attacks. Because if you get into a dogfight in this jet or those kinds of aircraft, especially with a Spitfire or Japanese kind of aircraft or some Russian aircraft, you're going to lose every time. Because they can simply outturn you, especially in a jet. You never want to get in a dogfight in a jet, you will die for sure. Unless if it's with another jet, then it's all about how fast your jet can turn compared to theirs. And right here I'm going for the back enemy because I don't want to go for the guys that are up there, since if I do that, I got someone on my tail. Even though I am faster, that's a chance for them to hit me, and I don't want that. One of the other things I tend to like to focus on as well, especially when I'm flying my jets, is trying to survive. I tend to try and avoid going into very dangerous situations if I can, and try to do it on my terms. Because, you know, it's not like I can really do much against these guys, because I have had matches where I do kind of throw my guidelines out the window. Like in an air domination match where my team was just getting dominated right in front of our spawn, I just went low and I start dogfighting everyone. Which, times like those, I'm lucky, because nobody ever pays attention to me and I can just go to town. Another thing too, if you see an enemy on the tail of your teammate, you'll want to try and take him out if you can. Even if that teammate sucks, it gives the enemy something else to shoot at later. Or heck, they may even save you. And that's another thing right there too. If you're in a prop plane, you're not going to be able to chase down a jet. Not unless if they're going really slow. So if you're losing speed on them immediately, don't even bother. You won't be able to take them out. I know, because I used to fly British aircraft a lot, and I'd end up getting in battles like these, where there are a few jets. And pretty much you'll want altitude and speed to have a chance to catch up to them. Another thing I tend to like to do in these kinds of matches is when there's only a couple of enemy jets, and most enemies are prop aircraft, I tend to try and focus on those jets to make it easier on my team. And also to make it easier on myself, because it gives me a lot more room to do what I want instead of dive on one guy and then jet out of nowhere gets on my tail because I wasn't paying attention. So I tend to focus on them to begin with. That's another thing there too. If you're about 1.5 kilometers or more away, you can go ahead and just kind of aim above them a little bit higher than you'd probably normally would, and then just kind of fire, and you'll have a chance to hit them. At the very least. Because usually some people wait until the target marker pops up and then fire. And right here, while that aircraft is on my tail, it's a lot easier to dodge in a jet without losing any speed. Because you're just making those small adjustments, I can still keep my speed up the entire time while it's throwing them off. And it tends to work pretty well. So I can keep my speed up and continue to outrun them. That's another thing I find kind of dumb some people do is, if you're going to turn towards an aircraft, and even though that's not the target you want to try and kill, take some shots out at them anyways while you're in the turn. At the very least, you might hit them. Another thing too to probably go over would be ammo types. Like for the current ammo I'm currently using is Stealth Attack, which pretty much, I believe most or all the ammo it uses have Incendiary in it. So it's much more easier to set an enemy on fire. Whereas if you're using 20mm cannons or bigger, if you get an air target option, definitely take that. Otherwise, go for anything that's high explosive, because that'll easily shred an aircraft. Another thing I tend to do as a jet pilot when I'm in a match like this, I tend to focus more on just supporting the team rather than focusing on kills. If I can take out high priority targets like jets, or if there are no jets, something like a Tempest, Typhoon, something with 4 20mm cannons or so on, because those kill very quickly. I know because I've already played all of them with the British lineup. Yeah, doing something like trying to land in the middle of a dogfight like this is basically suicide. I don't get why some people do that. The best aircraft to probably use for that situation is to send in a bomber. Otherwise, a fighter's just gonna get wiped out in no time. But it is nice to see at least someone try, because it sucks when you're in a match like I have sometimes, and nobody's trying to land at the airfield while I'm trying to secure air dominance. And the reason why I pre-fire like that too is I want to try and do damage before I get within range of that bomber's gunners to try and limit his capability of shooting me. And it's a lot easier to hit bombers when you're outside of that range, like a kilometer or more, because they're such a big target. And if you play quite a bit long enough, it becomes easier to predict about where the target marker is, and you just kind of fire around there. You'll probably hit him and take him out. But I'd only do that for arcade battle. If you're going to do realistic, you'll want to confirm or try and make sure that you are going to hit the target. Because ammo wasted means you're going to have to go all the way back to your airfield to resupply. Another thing that we'll point out with replays sometimes, it doesn't exactly show where I'm shooting all the time. Sometimes it's behind a bit there. Probably the best thing to do if you do have a jet on your tail and you're in a prop plane, just do a turn. Because honestly, a jet can't outturn you, so if he's on your tail, your best chance is to turn. Other than that, if he's at a distance, you still will probably get some good hits at you, but if he's up close, he'll probably just have trouble hitting you at such a close range anyways. But depending on what jet it is, like if it's the Shooting Star here, you don't have to worry too much, because typically the 50 cals won't kill you instantly. But otherwise, if somebody's kind of radically moving to avoid your shots, kind of like I was there, your best chance of hitting the target is to probably try and predict their movements if you can. That or just kind of fire a bit randomly and kind of a more circular mashing, like kind of a way to attempt to even hit them. At least that's what I'd do. Another thing too right there, if you're going straight up to follow an enemy and his teammates are around, you're just asking to get killed. It's very easy to get shot down doing something stupid like that. So pretty much you gotta know when to follow the enemy and when you probably shoot him like that. Or something like that too. He was doomed to begin with since there's so many of us around. But, yeah. That's, for the most part, what I have to say. Well, I guess that's it for now. Have a good one.